G'day guys, it's Axel with you once again for the second part of our breeding tutorial, but this time we're after mutations. Yes, you heard me correctly, please do not wet your pants or spontaneously combust, we are indeed talking about mutations. How to get them, the best way to get them, how to stack them, and the do's and don'ts when it comes to mutations. So before we get started, have a cup of coffee, do some push-ups, vacuum your cat, or mop your carpet. Whatever it is you need to do to be prepared for this absolute shitstorm of information. But if you find this video useful, please consider dropping a like. So without further ado, let's get breeding. Yeah, that sounded better in my head. Alrighty guys, welcome back to part 2 of my breeding tutorial. So last episode we were breeding for a baseline. So combining all the stats of a wild segment of creatures and slowly progressing those stats into, or compressing those stats into a singular creature, going from 1 stat to 2 stats to 3 stats to all 4 stats in our baseline. So just in case you missed that video, go and check that one out before proceeding because that's pretty important. And I'm just going to set time of day, we'll go 10 o'clock. Okay guys, mutations can be difficult to comprehend, but let's break this down piece by piece. Step 1 for getting mutations is to breed. Yeah, it's pretty complicated already. Step 2 for the best method for getting mutations, however, is to have more baseline females within a certain radius around the male. To get more baseline females, simply breed your current 2 baselines and make sure each female baby you get has no mutations and should be fine to use. So before we move on to stacking, I'll skip ahead to when I've got a suitable setup for the raptors. Alrighty, so we have our cluster of baseline females. And we know that they are baseline with no mutations because they are exactly the same level as the original parents. If they had a mutation, it would no longer be 258, it would be 260, 262, or 264. I had a quick squiz on Dodo Decks about the chances of mutations. The mutation chances are 7% of a singular mutation, I think it's 0.8% for a double mutation, or 0.002% for a triple mutation, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, is exceptionally rare. And this one here is too far away to breed with this male. So as I said, small creatures have very small mating radiuses. So let's see if we can just bring this female just a little bit closer. How's that? That's better. Alright, so we're just going to stick to this amount of females because our breeding rates are ridiculous. So if I had too many, then it wouldn't work out very well. But you guys at home, on official, you will probably be needing to have a row of females along here, another row along the back, another row along here, and then even have a ceiling above and maybe a floor below if you want to maximize how many eggs you can get all at once. But nonetheless, for now, this is going to serve our purposes. So yeah, you just do whatever you can to get as many females within the male's radius. Just make sure you can get the male out, and you will see why we need the male out in a second. Give me that. Thank you. Alright. So, here I have a bunch of eggs. And I'm going to eat this one. Alright, so toggle the tooltips. So, all of them are just baseline, so there's nothing special about any of these. So now, what we're going to do, we're going to do a mass hatch, and we're going to look for 260. 260 is our prime number for these eggs. So if I just crouch here, and just start hatching them willy-nilly. Alright, so I can't see a 260 anywhere. Whoop. No 260s here, as you can see by the constant 258s. Which, that's all G. That is fine. So I am going to... I'm going to have to claim these guys because I'm currently got my single player set to PvE. So if I don't claim them, and then I kill them, I won't be able to harvest them. I'd have to drag their bodies outside and let the animals eat them. So what you guys would need to do on official, because I can, obviously you're not going to be online 24/7, that would be ridiculous, but servers do run 24/7. So you'd start missing out on the potential. Hello? Oh, you are breeding, okay. You guys will be missing out on the potential of a baby or a mutation if you don't collect the egg. So there's an 18-hour to 48-hour timer between breeding intervals on every single creature in ARK that is breedable. And what I would do if I were you is get your big cluster of females and your male, turn your male off when you are not online, and then turn your male back on when you do cut back online, and that way the females will breed at the exact same rate that you're seeing here with the mating bar down the bottom in yellow as soon as it comes back. So it'll be just that quick. So then you'll be able to go around, collect all the eggs from all the females that male was breeding with, and then you should hopefully be able to hatch those eggs in the same time frame that you are online for. So take all your eggs after you've turned on your male, he's bred with all the females within the radius, then you collect the eggs, just scoop them up, take them over to your air conditioners and drop them out and let them do their own incubation. Depending on the creature is how long it'll take to incubate, and don't try to put any aquatic creature eggs on land near air conditioners. Just drop that out into the water and it will incubate regardless of where you are in the water, just so long as it's submerged. And yeah, so the mating time will be that quick. So you'll have to wait approximately 2 minutes-ish for the mating to be done. But yeah, just turn your male off when you go offline, turn him back on when you do come online. That's probably just the best advice that I can give to you, or else you're going to end up resetting the breeding timer on your creatures, and by the time you do come back online, because they were breeding for so long and the eggs weren't being incubated where they sat, if I can get down there. Hello? Okay, there we go. So it's saying too cold at the moment. No, come back. Alright, so it did say too cold. Here we go. So, oh no, I can't do it. Am I coming? Alright, so it's saying too cold at the moment. So, these obviously aren't going to be picked up by a hatchery on official, and the egg health is going down. So, in 10 minutes, this baby will die, and if you're not online to collect the egg, well, the baby's going to die, and you just lost your chance at a mutation, and you got to wait up to 2 days again for this female to be able to breed. So that's no bueno. Alright, so 15 seconds after I left you guys, we got our first melee mutation. There it is, 260, and we've compared it to the 258. There it is, so the 43 for the 258, and then the 45 for the 260. That is exactly what we're after. So, with being very careful, I'm going to kill this 258 male and then not kill this mutated female. So what we're going to do is quickly turn this male off breeding. We're going to come over here and force tame this. Obviously you guys won't be able to do that in official, but that's fine. So, in regards to naming a mutation, so there's plenty of ways to do this, and just like how we were naming our creatures based on their stats, which is a pretty good way to do it, it lets you know exactly what stat you'd be looking for in regards to the parents, but you guys will need to use the literal percentage, the damage percentage, so you probably have to name this 490 something something something, but for our purposes, because it's got 45 into melee and it's the first mutation, 45 melee, first mutation, and it is a female. So 45 M1F. So that allows us to keep track. So we're going to come over here and we're going to keep the female away from the other females because we need a male. The male is what's going to allow us to do the mass breeding effect as we established earlier. So we need to breed it with a male that has no mutations but is still got all the other stats except for the melee itself. So we want to get the 45 melee out of this female. We're going to breed it with this male because he's a pure baseline male, and we're going to see if we can get a male with this female's mutation. And that's all that's going to happen, the mutation and hopefully its stat, because don't forget that you can still get a 43 in the offspring because we've got a discrepancy between the two melees here. So hopefully we get this stat and the mutation will 100% carry over from the female just as it's done here. This is a 100% guarantee. You will never get rid of this mutation counter. It can only go up from here. So we need to make sure that we keep the other side of the equation, in this case the baseline male, it needs to be kept as pure as possible. So let's turn this one on to mating. These two may do the naughty. You guys doing the naughty? Yeah, they're doing the naughty. Alright, so we're going to wait for these guys to pop out an egg. In the meantime... Okay. Alrighty, so we got ourselves the male with the 45 damage that we were after. So that is awesome. Force tame you. 45 melee 1M. And let's eat these other eggs because they are no longer needed. And these guys can be turned off breeding, disable, and disable. So it's entirely up to you as to how you want to play this part. You can get rid of this female if you want. I'm just going to stick it here for now. This male definitely cannot be getting rid of, so I'll stick him at the back here behind the second generation just in case he's needed again, because any of these next line of mutations that occur can very easily be a female, so we'll need the baseline male to sort of, I guess, transfer it back to being male. Alright, so the reason why as well that I face these guys sort of reverse parked in here is because the tails are really annoying. So we're going to just do that. So now we've got our first mutation here. Now if for whatever reason you were wanting to do more than say just melee, let's say you wanted health as well, you would need an entirely new section of female raptors. Still not close enough, huh? You'll need an entirely new section of female raptors in another place away from this group, and then the male that you'd have, instead of it having its first melee mutation, it'd have its first health mutation, and so on and so forth. But the process is exactly the same. So at least that's how I used to do it back on my official days. So I need to replace this. Also eggs. Doesn't look like 80 bodies here, but they're all sort of piled into each other. Then I exited out of single player and changed the decomposition time because these bodies aren't going to disappear for like 2 hours. What you're seeing here was a mutation on top of the melee mutation that we had. Unfortunately, it was into health. So I will touch on later in the video as to why I don't stack different stats into a singular line, or at the very least while I'm still mutation stacking. Alrighty guys, so literally 6 seconds after I did that little intro about having to change the maturation rates and all that, this little guy here is going to die. What the f? Alright guys, so I thought I'd quickly bring you back after my previous incident. I've now changed up the settings a little bit. I've been trying to hatch eggs for about 2.5 hours, and I thought I'd give you a quick rundown on perhaps maybe an easy way to tell if you have a mutation. And clearly, it's a color difference. So, every creature has color regions. There are 6 in total, ranging from 0 to 5, and not every creature technically uses every region. So some creatures you might only get 2 regions, or maybe just 3. Gigas, for example, only use 3. However, tech creatures use all 6. So on and so forth. Depending on the creature, sometimes when you get a mutation, the color won't change because the color change, quote unquote, the color change in question was on a color region that that particular dino does not use. So it's not bulletproof. It's not the I guess easiest sort of way to tell. It is still via the level. So here we got two 262s. Unfortunately, neither of them have the 47. Yeah, neither of them have got the 47 points into damage that we're after. They've both got a mutation into Stam, which is kind of awkward, but nonetheless. So I just thought I'd bring you guys back just to show you the color change sort of scheme. Alrighty guys, so we are back again. Unfortunately, no mutation that we were sort of after, but I wanted to show you this. This guy here is a 262. Well, this girl here is a 262, but it only has 43 melee damage, which is a little odd, right? Because the 260s have 45. What happened here is this girl got a double mutation using the mother's baseline stats. So, as you can see, 38 into weight, 44 into health. 36 into weight, 42 into health. So it got a mutation into weight and a mutation into health while keeping the mother's melee. So if we imprint on this and then go into its stats, you'll see 2 matrilineal and then 1 patrilineal. So the father is the one that has got the original 45 damage mutation. Now, as I said, the random mutations counter can never go down, even if the baby rolls with the worst stats. The mother, however, has given a double mutation to the stats, so a 0.8% chance of that happening. So yeah, quite very low, but it happens from time to time. Unfortunately, not the stats we're after. We're not after health or weight, or at the very least not in this mutation line, because we're after melee. And a little bit later on in the video, we will talk about why we do not mix the stats together. But for now, I thought I'd just show you guys that double mutations do occur from time to time. So yeah, I will see you guys shortly once again. Alright guys, so welcome back, finally, after a couple of hours since accidentally starving out the other baby. I have finally got the, well actually I got it in triplets here. I got 2 males and a female here in triplets with the mutation we need. So it's a 262, 2 points above our current male's level at 260. And as you can see by the amount of points in the melee, it's 47, no longer the 45. So the mutation went into our melee, which is exactly what we needed. I technically did get another mutation over here, so the body went like sort of like a white, except the mutation for this went into weight, as you can see by the increase from 36 to 38. So not what we need, so I'm going to get rid of this little guy, and I'm going to force tame this little guy here, and then I'm going to force grow him. So I think it's set baby age 0.99, and it should grow up fairly quickly because I've still got 5 times maturation rate for the server. Alright, excellent. So I'm going to get this guy out of here, and alrighty. So, we got that. Get this guy out of here. And as we can see, so it's a 47, and just double checking, so it's got one mutation from the father, one from the mother, 1 and 1 obviously equals 2, so this is a 47 M2M. So 47 M2M. Showing that that's the next line in the mutation lineage. So I'm just going to park this guy up and get stuck here. Alright, so I'll start enable the mating here. They should all be breeding now. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this female. Hello? There we go. Because we got this male here. So each time we get a new generation to go here, the male that's already here will come over here and take the spot of the generation before that. So that way you've always got your previous generation just in case you miscalculated something. Always cover your butt. These should all be 45s. Yep, okay, so I can eat all these because they no longer apply to us. We've got the 47, that's all we needed. You can use these eggs for kibble or use them for an insanely good food source, although they are a little bit heavy. It's entirely up to you. And now we will go back to our time skip. I'll see you guys shortly. Just gotten our next inline mutation for the melee. So 264, and now we can see the color mutation, the section that I was talking about previously, how a color change can sort of indicate whether or not a baby has a mutation bestowed upon it. And in this case, the feathers have gone sort of like a purpley lavender color, so that's kind of nice. And oh, there's another 264 over here. Hello, have you got a color mutation? Yes, you do. You've got a nice blue underneath your belly, but you've got a movement speed mutation, so no thanks. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to force tame you and then set your baby age to that. And hopefully your food should start going up. Alright, excellent. Time to replace this guy with his predecessor. So 49 M3. M3M, that should do it, right? That's it. Had a brain fart for a second. 1, 2, yep, okay. Sweet. And just for good measure, nothing in there. Take everything out of this. And enable mating on this guy. So now repeat this process. So every single time we get a mutation, our melee damage will increase by 2 points. So the percentage will differ. The actual percentage itself that you gain each time you get a mutation will differ depending on the creature that you are mutating. But as long as it increases, as long as you do not give any imprint, because these stats will change except for torpidity, these stats here will change based on how much imprint you have. So do not imprint on your creatures for official servers. If you have the Super Spyglass or Pt2Ks or Pt2K's binocular, I don't know how you pronounce that first word, but those special binoculars or Archematic Spyglass, such as the one I'm holding now, then this will be much easier for you guys to sort of calculate, because you can see it visually in the brackets every single time there is a mutation. So just to reiterate, so we got 47 here, 49 there, and we're getting further and further away from the females. So if we get a baby from these pairs here, even though this is the father, if we get a baby from any of these peoples or raptors, there is still a chance they can come out as a 258 because they can come out with the female stats. Remember, it's basically a coin toss as to which stat you're going to get. So you can either get the 376% melee or you can get the 418% melee. It's really just a bit of RNG. And then as you get further and further along with more and more mutations, the number is clearly going to go up and the levels are going to become drastically different. So right now we're at 264 for the male and 258 for the female. So it's no longer a case of, oh, is this a mutation? Is that a mutation? Like it'll become very, very obvious. If you're going to get a 264 or a 266 baby pop out, then that's clearly got the good stats and maybe a mutation depending on the level of the father in comparison to the mother. If you get, say, a 260 now, if we got a 260 baby, that means it had the female's stats with a mutation, which is obviously... Alrighty guys, so here I was killing off the babies and this little guy jumped out from the ground. I kind of wish I was recording at the time, but I don't know when I'm going to get the next mutation, so it's a little bit difficult to have the recorder to be running for that period of time. So here we are. Here is our I believe it's our fourth mutation, our dark blue knight here, and he is a male, so that's perfect. Don't have to worry about the baseline female. So I'm just going to claim him, unfollow. I'm going to quickly run over here and stop these guys from breeding. And you're going to come over here. And I'm going to pop you outside because, why not? And you. So I'm going to keep these raptors. I'm going to show you the progression little bit by little bit, just so it's easier to follow. It's all about you guys knowing exactly what's going on. There is actually another 266 here. I don't know what it's a little orange one. It has a stamina mutation, as denoted by the 43 in stamina, whereas this guy over here only has 41. So yeah, 2 points into stam just to increase it just that little bit. But that's not what we're after, so that's not what we're going to use. Okie dokie. So just to double check, 4 mutations, so 3 from the patrilineal, 1 from the matrilineal. So the 3 that you see here for the patrilineal, that is our previous generation's amount of mutations. See? 49, melee 3. The 3 denotes how many mutations that male has. So those 3 mutations have been passed on to its offspring. And the female is just our baseline, so therefore no mutation. So when she's given a mutation, there it is there to equal our 1 out of 20. Wonderful. So... alright. This is the final mutation for the video. Here it is, number 5. Just double checking, 1 from the mother, 4 from the previous father, or the father, not previous father, the previous male, who is the father, as we can see here. So that is excellent. Looking back, 53 into melee. So let us get into this. Melee 5M. Oh, that's awesome. So force tame you, set baby age. Wait for it to grow up. And I will chuck it over here. Stop. Okay, so, and just for the fun of it, I'm going to go and grab the baseline male, just so we have the full complete picture of what it is what we were trying to do. What we were trying to achieve. So we start with the baseline male. This was the product from the last video of all the stats we wanted from the raptors combined into a singular creature. Every stat that we deem to be useful anyways. Okay, so what we've done is bred with the baseline female until we had a 7% chance of a mutation, and there's 7 stats that it could possibly go into, so it's basically a 1% chance. And then we move on to our first mutation here. Now, as you can see by the level, 258, 260, 262, 264, 266, and 268. It will constantly go up by 2 points per mutation. Sometimes you might see it go up by 4. Again, that is a double mutation. Sometimes it will go up by 6. That is a triple mutation. Hold on to that for dear life and make sure you post it somewhere online. So, first mutation here, second mutation here, and notice as I go along there are 2 points being added to the melee every consecutive mutation. So this is how you stack mutations into one another. Okay? Very straightforward, very simple. You guys won't have, if you're playing on official, you're not going to have the Archimanic Spyglass to tell you the actual points themselves within the brackets. You will only have the percentages. But for those of you who wish to follow the percentages, we have 376, 390, 404, 418, 432, and 446. And I wonder, did you get a color mutation by any chance? Yes, you did. It looks as though you got a pink stripe. No, you would have gotten that from the female, I reckon. What is your color mutation? I've got no idea. Maybe this this particular raptor had a color region that wasn't... Oh no, there's pink on these feathers. Okay, so it's not the pink and it's not the black because that's on your father over here. Alright, so I've got no idea what color mutation would have occurred here. Probably in a region that is not being used. We've already covered that. Sometimes some creatures just don't use a certain region. Even if the region is not used by the creature, the game doesn't recognize that and still tries to assign a color change to a region that's not used. Because, well, you know, they assign points to a stat that's not used. Example, movement speed. So, yeah, if they're going to do it to stats, they're going to do it to color regions. It's just how it is. So, I hope that this makes it very easy to follow through with how you mutation stack. It's all about the numbers. Getting as many females as you can, making sure those females are clean, no mutations, okay guys? None whatsoever. And as you can see, every now and again, we'll get a slight color variation. So, let's see here. Did we get anything different? No. No. I think we got a slightly... Oh, no, we didn't. Green's still there. Here we got a darker green. Yeah, I think we got a slightly darker green here for the skin. And then the green got thrown out the window and a dark blue has come in. And the dark blue has stayed for, 2 generations. So, for the next episode, we are going to talk about super dinos. And super dinos are, well, super, because they're super dinos. And before we finish up this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the do's and don'ts of these mutation stacking processes. So they're pretty easy to remember. To begin with, if you're after more than one stat on a dino, have separate males for those stats. So we've got a baseline male here. Have 2 baseline males, or use a baseline male, wait until you get your first mutation, and then keep this line pure with just melee. Then keep using your baseline male while this baby is still growing. Okay, you've just hatched this baby, realized, oh god, I've got a melee mutation. So keep using your baseline male to maybe try and get a health mutation. Because if you try to stack different stats together, then you're going to try to sort of RNG 2 or more stats into your babies. And we saw in the previous video how difficult it is to try and roll those stats into a baby, any more than 2. So, you know, it's a pain in the ass. Now, example is with health and melee. So your babies might roll with the higher melee from the father. Let's say I'm going for health as well. Just as an example. This baby here got a melee mutation. Yay! Oh, but it didn't get the health. So you've got the melee, you've got the mutation, and oh wait, you didn't get the health, therefore this is completely wasted. And the points here in the mutation section, remember, they don't go away. So if you had, say, 2 extra melee health mutations, this would be 45M, I don't know, 46H2 or something like that. So 1 melee, 2 health, that would equal 3. Even though you didn't get the health in the actual stats, you still have that number up here. You cannot get rid of it. So I must urge you to keep male lines separate. If you want to have another, I guess, expose of stats being done, have another group of baseline females. We've already made the baseline. You can just hatch more eggs, raise up more babies, make sure they've got no mutations on either side of the matrilineal or patrilineal, and go from there. Just copy exactly what you've done for melee, or what you've seen me do for melee. Just do the same thing for health, or do the same thing for stamina, or weight, or even food if you're, you know, going for Daedons. There's nothing worse than getting a mutation, but you tried to stack more than 1 stat at a time, and you didn't get the health rolled in there as well. Because what's the point? You've got a creature with the good amount of damage, but you're missing another stat. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And that only gets worse the more stats you try to roll into it. So, mutation stacking is just better when you stick to 1 stat at a time per male line. And you can easily have multiple males if you want them, each for whatever desired stat you are after. So that is the biggest don't. The biggest don't is do not try to stack multiple stats into a singular creature. We will touch base in the Super Dinos version or variant of this sort of 3-part episode about what to do if you wish to try and combine stats in such a way. But I do hope this was a clear-cut video for you guys. It has taken me about probably 15-16 hours to finally get it all together. Mutations are an absolute pain in the ass, but they are well worth it if you have a long time running server. And with that out of the way, thank you for watching the video. I hope it wasn't too draining on you. And yeah, I will see you guys in part 3. Until then.